And I gotta give her some love for her guitar too. As much as I go on Misa about her bass, I mean, everybody here is absolutely solid at what they do. Hey everyone, NavyDoc5184 here. Welcome to another music reaction. Today I am getting back into BAND-MAID and I'm going to check out their music video for Protect You. So I'm going to say this right now. Now that I actually think about it, I'm trying to think. I think this might actually no, the one they did with the warning would technically be the first music video of theirs I saw. Normally I used to see their live performances of songs, so this will actually be, to my knowledge, at least my memory I should say, my second time reacting to an actual music video of theirs. So really looking forward to this. BAND-MAID has really proven to be one of my favorite bands to react to. J-Rock, J-Metal is basically, it's been so great to really get into this world, so I'm really looking forward to see what this video has to offer. So really don't have much to say ahead of time outside that I expect this to be another great song of theirs. There has not been a song of theirs that I have reacted to that I have not liked yet. So I'm really expecting that this is just going to be another one that's going to grow into my list of songs that I absolutely love from this group. So we will go ahead and get started with the reaction. I will leave a link to the original video in the description below. Let's go ahead and get started. Alrighty, let's see where this takes us. They didn't waste no time. They're getting heavy right off the bat. Even when it's nothing fancy, Misa's bass goes hard. Okay. Okay. Wow. Oh man, their dynamic is just so interesting. Okay, I have to expand on this thought before I lose it, but I was talking about their dynamic, and here I'm trying to think of the right words to use. I don't think gentle rage is quite the right word for it. It's just the best I can come up with right now, because I say that because you listen to like the feeling of the song and like even like the feel you get from the music and everything, and it's just like, I wouldn't quite call it rage, but it's definitely like a very tough, rough sounding feel you get from it. But then the way she delivers it with the vocals, well, not just her, everybody who's involved with it, there's almost like a gentleness to it, if that makes any sense. But I think it's just kind of like that clash that really makes it interesting to listen to them, because even songs where it was, I think Hate is the best song I can think of as an example, where you feel like you just should feel like nothing but unbridled rage in a way. There's still almost kind of like a gentleness to it that not necessarily cancels it out, but I don't know if balances it out is the right way for it, but maybe it is. Maybe it's just more of a balance rather than a clash. You know, it's like the group in itself is almost just like the perfect representation of the yin yang in a way. You know, you just got, you know, these two completely clashing feelings, and yet somehow they are one, you know, they make one. It's just amazing how they manage to get that balance with this, because it's like I get the feeling of such again, I don't know if rage is the right word, but I can't really find the right word that really kind of describes it, because it's just simply more than just being tough. But you just got that feeling, and I'm just kind of using rage. But then at the same time, between the sound of the vocals and then even looking at the lyrics, it's like almost kind of like a gentleness that balances all out. And that is the dynamic I love on that. And I think that's why I love this group so much, is because they get that balance so well. See what I mean? See, just looking at the lyrics, it feels like it should be a song, not necessarily of rage, but there's like a love in there. And I gotta give her some love for her guitar too. As much as I go on Misa about her bass, I mean, everybody here is absolutely solid at what they do. And again, nothing fancy, but Misa's bass just goes so hard. Alright, ladies. Alright, that was Protect You by BAND-MAID, and it was as good as I expected it to be. And honestly, the one thing that I really want to point out, I know I've already pointed out a couple times, because normally I've gotten to the point now where I watch BAND-MAID videos, I'm like, okay, how is Misa gonna go off on this one? And I will say this, while I would definitely say she did not go off like what I'm used to, it's still amazing at how hard she went at that bass. It's like she made sure, it's like, I'm not gonna show off and do, like my solos this time, but you are still going to know I am here. But again, it's just, I was talking about the balance that they had, with just like the opposing feels of the song, but I need to give some credit to the balance they have in terms of the group itself. Because I was talking about, and again, her name escapes me, but the main guitar player, the lead guitar player, and how solid her solo was. And I had said, it's like, but everybody, performs their role, to a very high tier. And it's amazing, even with that, how well they're able to balance that. Because normally with groups, you always have somebody that really kind of stands out and is well above everybody else. Not to say that nobody else in the group is good, but you always have that one where they're like the star of it. And while like for me, I've gotten to the point where Misa is like the one where I'm really the most curious about, but when as the song progresses and everything, it's not so much I kind of forget about that, but then it's like I'm just reminded, I'm like, hey, everybody else in here is just as good in their role. And that's the whole thing about it. It's not just simply being good, it's being good in your role. And I think that is something that I think lacks in a lot of groups, because, some people will look at their role and they're just like, you may have this idea that it's not as big as somebody else's role, but the whole thing about it is whatever role you're giving, you got to understand that that role is just as important as, whoever the biggest one. And another group that I feel really hits that, what's the word I'm looking for? That hits that dynamic absolutely perfectly is Queen. And here's why I say this. Because when people hear Queen, the first person that automatically comes to most people's mind is Freddie Mercury. But when you look at the group as a whole, as great as Freddie Mercury was, would Queen have been as big as it was if they had somebody else other than Brian May on guitar, or somebody else other than John Deacon on bass, or someone else other than Roger Taylor on the drums? You know, if you had only 3 of those 4 pieces and it was just somebody else on the 4th piece, it's easy to say that while they still may have been great, they wouldn't have been as great. You have to get those pieces. Another perfect example is, you know, think about the Beatles. You know, it's like how good they still sounded when they had Pete Best, but then it's like when they got Ringo and replaced him, or replaced Pete Best with Ringo, and it was like that was finally the piece that clicked. And even think of a group like the Temptations. You know, it's like no matter how good you sound, but it's like once you finally get all the right pieces together, because once the Temptations got David Ruffin in that group, it was a wrap. You know, and I think people just gotta understand, like, no matter how big you are in the group, you have to have the other right pieces on there. And if you are just one of those other pieces, you can't look at yourself as just another piece. You gotta realize that you are one of the pieces that makes this go, and without you, maybe it won't be as good. And it's really hard to find people with that right combination, that right chemistry. And I think that's the beautiful thing that I see with Band-Aid, is that whatever role they're in, they fully embrace it, they give it their all, and they make sure that, you know, like say somebody like me, it's like, hey, yeah, you may really like Misa on the bass, but check out what I can do in my role, and they kill it. And I think that just needs to be recognized, and I don't think that really happens, because most people, it's like once they pinpoint like that one, it's almost like they kind of forget everybody else, and it's just like, oh, you know, without this person, you know, it wouldn't be the same. And yeah, that may be true, but it's not like the other pieces are replaceable. You know what I mean? It's like you, once you find that right pieces, it's like when one of those pieces goes, that kind of can derail the whole thing. So I appreciate the fact that no matter what role somebody plays in this group, they do it to their absolute best, and I think that's what makes this group so great. It's a matter of just understanding your role and doing it to the absolute best of your ability, and not trying to outshine, outdo. I have no problem, like, say, friendly, you know, in friendly competition within the group. You know, I always think that's healthy, because obviously you want to up your game and everything, but at the same time, you don't want to necessarily compare yourself to anybody else on the team, because you got to understand what your talents are, where you're strong at, and just use those to your advantage to help the group. And I think everybody here does that, because you can't really look at one person and say, it's like, oh, you know what, you know, that person can go and maybe that'll make them. It's like, no, I don't think there's any way this group can get any better than what it is outside of their own improvements. But that's my spiel for it. All of that basically just to say, once again, BAND-MAID delivers. Absolutely love the song, and can't wait to get to more BAND-MAID reactions. So I will go ahead and end it there, and thank you all for stopping by. And if you enjoyed watching that reaction, feel free to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. That way you can check out all of my other reactions. And don't forget that if you are subscribed, to hit the notification bell so you can be aware of any time a new reaction gets uploaded. And if you'd also like to give some extra support to the channel while receiving some perks in the meantime, feel free to check out the join button. You can check out my memberships for the channel. There are 2 tiers. The very basic tier will at least get you ad-free versions of my reactions, as well as some other perks. There are some extra perks at the upper tier, but feel free to look at them. If any of those feel like you'd be interested in, feel free to go ahead and join the channel. But either which way, I appreciate you stopping by anyways, taking time out of your day to check me out. Don't forget to check out my other BAND-MAID reactions, as well as some of my other J-Rock reactions, and I will catch y'all down the road.